Hey everybody, I'm Michael.
And I'm Max.
And remember to go follow us on Instagram at OnlyAnniePod.
And on YouTube, the world's only Animorphs podcast. That way you can check out all of our live streams, like the one we did for Megamorphs.
Mm-hmm. You can also listen to this podcast on Spotify or iTunes or anywhere you find podcasts. So enjoy this episode. You want to dive right into episode over book 10?
10, yeah. Oh, there was something I remembered from I remembered the movie.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the, this is the movie that we were trying to think of, and you were even humming the theme song a few episodes ago.
So I was re-listening to that episode since we dropped it recently, and as soon as I was just like not even really paying attention, but as soon as I heard the dun 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 dun, dun off in the background, I was like, oh, Chariots of Fire.
Chariots of Fire. Okay.
Duh! And I was just like reeling in the car going, fuck, I finally I knew it would just be like not even thinking about it. It would come across and boom,
all right. Chariots of
right
Fire. See, to me, that's not an obvious one.
No.
I've never seen Chariots of Fire. I know very little about it.
Very little.
Everyone knows that
Same.
Dun,
Exactly.
Dun, dun, dun,
And the
dun,
only reason that I
dun.
even remembered or knew that it was from Chariots of Fire was because in 8th grade I had an English project that I needed some like intro music. So my dad at work one day downloaded a few songs that he thought would work, and it was that theme song from Chariots of Fire and the "Where's the Beef" song that they used, and the dun 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 dun.
Now, what's the tie-in there
Beef,
between
it's
those
what's
two?
for dinner. Yeah.
What's the tie-in between Chariots of Fire and Where's the Beef?
There was no tie-in. It was just like similar music.
Oh, I see.
I think the project was over like.
Mashups.
And it was
Unlikely
I think it
mashups?
might have been trying to call it Animal House. It's not Animal House. Animal Farm.
Well, here we are speaking of animals. Good segue, Max. Good segue. This is the world's only Animorphs podcast. We're coming in hot this week with book 10.
Yeah.
Coming off book 10. So what was the last
The
book?
Android.
We had Cassie.
Oh man.
We had Cassie and the Animorphs saving the forest last book. That's where we're at now. We come in with the Android number 10,
Little
the second
skunk
Marco
kids.
book.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say, Max, that this is one of our favorite in the early series?
Oh yeah, definitely one of, and again, one of the main reasons I felt even more in line with Marco mentally was because, again, his dripping sarcasm, but his fear of spiders. I was right there with him in that boat. I was like, that's the last thing I want to do is touch a wolf spider.
That's the cover, right? It's wolf spider morph on the cover. Again, Max with his
They're nothing
original
to mess with
pressing.
either.
What's that?
The wolf spider, they're nothing to mess with either.
Are
You
they
get bit by one of those, you're probably going to have to go to the hospital.
See, it looks like a brown recluse on the, or actually, it looks like more like a tarantula.
It's like a recluse and a tarantula kind of combined almost.
Are they the size of a tarantula, or are they
Some of the
regular?
smaller tarantulas maybe. They're probably like splayed out typically more like silver dollar size to a little bit bigger, but I think they give it like a actual measurement in the book.
We should say I don't know why we should say this is super important to point out. The book cover model is different from the first Marco, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't he a different guy?
Oh, I don't know if it's a different person, but he's definitely got the different haircut to reflect what happened in this book.
The plot line, that's right. That's right. So this book opens up. By the way, the inside cover is really cool with
it is.
It's like him looking at Eric's,
Yeah. I
seeing
think
through his
I think that
mirage.
scene's supposed to be from the forest near the lake.
During the sharing meeting.
Yeah.
Hey, did you notice that on the dedication page it says for Eric King and all the fans?
I had not yet. I did just look at that.
That's literally the Chee character's name. That's Eric. Eric King. That's his name.
That must be a real life person.
Do you think it is? We'll have to look into that. If you know that, please enlighten us down below. But we'll have to look into that a little bit further. But
Also, we got another, again, a different cover illustrator artist. I think it's the same one from last book. I'll have to double check now. But it's Damon C. Torres / the Iway Company. I think I remember the Iway Company for sure from the last time.
I wonder how many different artists they had throughout the book. It's pretty uniform. I mean, except for like the first two books, the covers are pretty uniform in what they, what their patterns
Got
are.
an off the bat, I wonder.
Max Wonders, ladies and gentlemen.
Wonder who.
one.
Why are half of these books for Michael? Is it the same Michael that she's married to? And are those the ones that he did not participate in the writing in?
So here's my understanding. And when you look up K.A. Applegate on Wikipedia, it backs this up. So K.A. Applegate is a pseudonym, is the what do you call it? Ghost name. What did you say? Pin name. That's what it is, pin name. For K.A. and Michael, husband and wife. So I think he participated on every book that she participated in. That's my general Animorphs knowledge just from kind of clicking around. So I think that since her name is Catherine Applegate and it's her name on the cover, she wanted to acknowledge him.
Okay.
Maybe she would have anyway, just because they're in love.
Right.
But like, I think she did, especially because
were they ever actually legally married?
Hell, I don't know, man. Probably.
I wonder.
They usually say husband and wife. They usually say husband and wife.
Like that's the way they always get presented.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I feel like.
But they don't share the same last name.
That's right. That's right. Hey,
that we know of. Maybe they do, and they've just continued to still, like most celebrities will tend to do.
But anybody who was a fan of Animorphs when they were like 9 and their name was Michael, they'll tell you it was exciting to see your name in the introduction. And you know, I was listening back to one of our other episodes the other day, and I was like, yeah, I was 11, 12, 13 reading these, but like, no, I was like 9, 10. And I may have actually clarified that already, but I was just thinking about that. So
yeah, 97, 10 years old.
Yeah, and I think this one was, this was about 97. So here we are in Animorphs Book 10. Let's get to some plot points here, why don't we? I got some good notes here on the Kindle. So to recap, the others do not know yet about Marco's mom being Visser 1.
Nope.
In Chapter 1, Marco says, no one knows about my mom but me and my best friend Jake. I don't want the others to know. I don't want their pity, which again, I'll bring up the question. It seems like strategically it would make sense to tell the others so they care more, so they know. It seems like, why keep that secret?
And it's almost hypocritical of them since they just railed Axe for the exact same thing. Like he was one of the ones at the forefront of like, come on, dude.
Think about if everybody on the team had a secret, you know, and maybe they do to an extent.
Yeah,
but like,
I think they kind of do.
I mean, I think by now the Animorphs, you know, they've been on 9, 10, 11 missions by now. They're getting tight. They're getting tight with each other. You know, they've almost died several times. They know each other's dynamics.
They've got a lot of good teamwork going now.
Yes, and now they're into some next level stuff with the Elements and everything like that. I really like in the first chapter how Jake and Marco were in dog morph sneaking into a concert. Now this is against Jake's rule of like, you know, we can't use morphing.
Hypocrisy abounds.
Yeah. Do you like the part where they said in chapter 2, displaced deadheads with little grainy sunglasses and dreadlocks? I thought that was funny.
That is.
Because that's what you see at a show. And then they even drop some...
like they're in the wrong time.
But you see that, like, just because, like, the Grateful Dead were popular in the 60s, 70s, all the way up to the 80s. And then this is the 90s, so it's like they had nowhere to go.
I think circles, they're still very popular.
Yeah, they're still out there. But I think the Grateful Dead, I think Jerry Garcia died in, like, the 90s. So
there was, like, a whole tribute to him on a Roseanne episode.
Really?
Yeah.
To Jerry Garcia?
Yeah.
That's random. I like it, though. I like it. He deserves it. I'm actually a big Grateful Dead fan. They mentioned 3 band names here.
Are you a Widespread Panic fan, though?
Yeah, I like Widespread Panic. I like the Dead more, and I like the Dead more than Fish, but I can get into some jam band stuff.
Well, what about Allman Brothers?
I love Allman Brothers. Okay. Yeah, and you know, they're obviously the predecessor, maybe not to the Dead because they were kind of contemporaries, but the Allman Brothers are more aggressive and rootsy than Grateful Dead, but Grateful Dead really got spacey. And I like the sound of their live recordings. Spacey, man. But this lineup, would you go see this concert? 9 Inch Nails, Alanis Morissette, and The Offspring? Because that's what
I would definitely, and I completely, absolutely agree with their description of The Offspring show. The shoes that I am wearing today, in fact, are the ones that when I saw The Offspring, I got lifted out of by the crowd and tossed about and then sat back down like within a foot or two of them, and like was able to get the crowd to, hey, lost my shoes. They spread out and created a little circle for me to find my shoes in.
That's awesome, dude. You always hear that
back
about.
On and went on with the show.
I'm gonna take a picture of the shoes for the gram Now, these are the exact ones, right?
These are the exact ones.
These are the Vans.
I tend to hold on to my shoes for quite a while.
That's cool. So I didn't know you were an Offspring fan. Full disclosure.
This was back in 2007.
Oh, really? Okay. So 10 years after the book took place. But
Right.
full disclosure, The Offspring was the first band I ever listened to that was like not kid music.
Pretty fly for a white guy.
That album, Americana, came out, and I bought that album, and I was like, oh, there's a whole world out there, and that was like the first band I got into. So to me, that just to know that Marco and Jake are at an Offspring concert, I think that maybe that influenced my later fandom of the Offspring, just like subconsciously, you know. But
I didn't remember 9 Inch Nails getting a nod in here either. 9 Inch and Alanis Morissette and the Offspring. That's cool.
Isn't that a fun line? I wonder if they ever actually played together. Probably not, right?
I kind of want to look that up now.
Quick question.
Maybe we
chapter
can
3.
figure out where they were based off of the tour schedule.
Yeah. They were at the show 97. It was in Minnesota. No,
There were reports of dogs.
Yeah, there were two. We have to scour the actual footage of the show and see if we can see two dogs.
I didn't understand why they decided to do dogs as opposed to just stay in a bird morph. Like the birds have just as good of hearing, basically.
Now, what
Better
dog,
eyesight. They could stay far away, not have to worry about anybody.
Which dog did Marco morph? Because I know Jake morphed his own dog. What dog did Marco morph? Which is interesting. They start out the book as dogs.
Good question.
Knowing what comes later in the plot, you know what I mean? But yeah, when did Marco get his dog morph? Should I cheat and look on Wikipedia because they list the morphs? Because yeah, I don't remember. Do you remember Marco obtaining a dog morph at any point in time? He says Irish setter. It's an Irish setter.
Yeah, I remember him saying Irish setter. I just don't remember.
I don't remember who it was.
Where he said he got it from.
Yeah, because Jake's dog is a golden retriever, if you remember. Huh, so there you go. He was an Irish setter. Where he got it, who knows? Because I don't think he acquired it in this book.
Yeah, he's like, and dog hearing is great. You need to acquire a dog morph. I already have, I said smugly, an Irish setter. Girls love Irish setters. I laughed my evil laugh. That wasn't a very evil version of that laugh, but gave Jake a look, and he laughed too.
There you go. Straight from the text, ladies and gentlemen. Now verify this for me, Max.
Yeah, he
chapter
doesn't say
3.
where.
What'd you say?
He doesn't say where. He just says that he got it.
He just says they got it. Okay, so chapter 3, they're at Cassie's barn, right? Okay. And in this book, they call it the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center. Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought it was clinic. Wildlife Rehabilitation Clinic. Is it not?
I think it's the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, and then the place where her mom works is the clinic.
At the clinic.
At
the zoo?
At the gardens.
At the gardens?
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't sure if that was a typo or not. Of course,
maybe we could go back and look. That might be already listed as a discrepancy on Wikipedia if you look.
Possibly. I don't want to lean on. We can't use Wikipedia as a crutch, you know.
Yeah.
What I mean? I didn't think I'd say that sentence today, but okay. So, what do you think about this part when Marco says, "We found out where Eric lives"? Because right, they're tracking Eric because Eric was handing out flyers at the concert for the sharing, so,
right?
And he didn't have a smell, so now they're checking him out. They're doing some reconnaissance. Marco says, "We found out where he lives, saw him through a window. Too bad, though. One of the other king residences we checked out had this girl living there who was amazing." And then Jake says, "You weren't window peeping, I hope." I gave Jake my best shocked and outraged look. How could you even say that? What kind of person do you think I am? You know, and so what do you think about that? Do you think because at that age, you know, you hear about like a window peeping, a girl dressing. I remember, do you know who Judy Blume is?
Yeah.
The author, right?
Right.
She had a book called Then Again, Maybe I Won't. And there was an entire scene in there, even on, I think it was the cover of the book. The whole book was about this kid doing like peeping Tom with binoculars to his neighbor as a kid. I'm like, wow, that's, you know,
I did not read that one.
I did. Believe you me. That was pre-Animorphs days, I think. I read that pretty young, but that kind of reminded me of that, those Judy Blume days.
That's
funny. Like, you can't say that nowadays.
I'm trying to remember
probably.
what other books of hers that I've actually read. I know there were a ton of them because
there's a lot. What was her big famous series, Judy Blume?
Was she had responsible
like,
for Frindle?
For what now?
Frindle.
I don't know.
Maybe
what that
not.
is.
I don't think so.
Judy Blume. What is her big thing? Wow, she is still alive, man. She's 82 years old. Let's see. Oh, the Fudge books is how I know her. Fudge-a-mania, Double Fudge. She also wrote one called Tiger Eyes. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Any of these ringing a bell?
No.
No? Okay. Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. That's for
one
the Judy
sounds
Blume fans.
familiar. Tales of
a Fourth
Did
Grade
she
Nothing?
do the fifth grade president one too?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I have that one.
It's
I
about-
swear I'm going to go home today and I'm going to look on my bookshelf and find like 8 Judy Blume books.
Fudgemania was my jam for a long time. So as we mentioned, they come across Eric. He's this mysterious guy. They say that he's never been a major friend of Marco's. He was just the kid I'd say hi to in the hallway, but he was at Marco's mom's funeral.
So weird. Until later. You find
Until
out why.
later. But yeah, at first it's but Marcos did say there were some other kids from school there, things like
So
that.
he didn't think too much of it at the time, but now he's a little curious.
Yeah, now he's curious. Who's this kid who doesn't smell like anything? Who's this kid who was at my mom's funeral? And it turns out to be, like we were saying kind of towards the beginning of the podcast, one of the most exciting reveals of
the
this
title.
book. Two things I want to hit on before we get to the reveal of the Chee, which is super exciting and I want to talk about. First of all, the plot point where Eric gets hit by a bus and his
Smack hologram.
Yeah, his hologram goes down, and then I think it was Axe who said, "Yeah, he's an android."
Yeah.
We don't know.
Oh,
what,
yeah.
we
That's
don't know
what
what
he
kind of android, but he kind of knows. And then the other thing, before we get to the big reveal of the Chee, is kind of the theme of this book. And I never noticed this as a kid. Once again, but last book it was like the environment and predator versus prey and where humans fall into line. This book, the theme is rage and fury. Because in chapter 6, Marco says rage is addictive,
Yeah.
I guess it's sort of like a drug. Anger and hatred get you
Violence.
high. And then he says about rage, so I ran the scenes of violence over and over in my head. I rode that rush of fury till at last it burned itself out and left me feeling empty and beaten.
Damn.
He's feeling that towards Tom, right?
Yeah. I totally feel that too. I think I was just kind of expressing on my way here. I experienced some of that rage.
You had road rage particularly.
yes.
Yeah, you had that adrenaline when you came in. You were telling me about it.
Yeah, I was still shaky.
Yeah. I see I am more of I guess you would call it passive aggressive, but I don't like to think of it that way because that to me seems snarky and that's not how I try to be, but like I think for me I shy away a little bit from confrontation, but it always comes out. That's something I've learned. It always every feeling that you try to shove away, it always comes out. Sometimes I'm like, it's almost better just to pop off in the moment so that you don't bottle it up and then get it misdirected somewhere,
Exactly.
So, but different people handle things different ways, and this is Marco coming in, and it's cool how it all ties in at the end.
And also kind of bookmark those overall themes as a
Yes.
collective for when we get later on into the series and we discover the source of these howlers.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's book 26.
That's way late, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because they go to we found out more about the howlers in book 26, which is we'll get to that book, but I think that as a kid that was always my fave. Spoiler alert. But then we find out in this that when your mass goes into Z space, sometimes a ship traveling in Z space.
Yeah, we finally found that out here.
Yeah, a trip traveling in Z space will intersect with a temporarily parked mass. And so Axe is like, explain that, Max. How exactly does that work?
The Z space
Yes.
and the body mass.
Uh-huh.
Well, when you morph, you've got all this body mass that when you morph something smaller than yourself has to go somewhere. So they decided, hey, why don't we just put it into not space, zero space, the anti-reality.
Yeah.
Let's put it there where we travel at higher than light speeds and we can't maneuver very well.
And every once
That's a
in
great
while,
idea.
every once in a while, a ship runs in and
I
and
wonder
hits you. Max wonders, ladies and gentlemen.
what happens to you if you're in mid-morph and somebody vaporizes your body mass in zero space.
Axe
Do
seems
you die on the spot? Do you try to morph back and go through excruciating pain and then die? Do you have to then be a nothlit for the rest of the natural born life of whatever you're stuck as?
that would make sense. That would make sense. Because the only part of your mass that is up there is that which you are not using,
right.
right? And so it seems like you'd be a nothlit. My question about it is,
What happens if it only vaporizes half of it? It scrapes by.
half nothlit, half human. My question is, do you lose your consciousness too? Does your consciousness get hit in Z space, or is it just
Doesn't
physical?
sound like it. It sounds like you retain your consciousness in whichever body you're currently occupying.
As a kid, I always
We're
thought
discovering that there's a separation and a maneuverability, almost a manipulation that you can take with individual aspects of yourself between your physical body, your consciousness, your essence, as the Pemalites have now been transferred.
Yes.
Your soul, so to speak.
Always
Apparently there are technological ways to divert those into other beings.
as a kid, I always thought that they would just die when they got hit, but I like your suggestion of them being a nothlet.
I mean, yeah,
That
being
I
a
like.
nothlet for however long they can stand.
So they are in wolf spider morph, and this is how they first describe in chapter 12. This is how they first describe the android when they see Eric up close. They say it was thousands of interlocked plates, almost like the chainmail armor knights. The chainmail armor knights used to wear.
Mm-hmm.
Each of the individual links was roughly triangular in shape, etc. So it's like this, and then the foot obviously looks like a dog leg, you know. And so then we get into it, man. After this was shocking to me in chapter 13 when basically Eric has Marco in his home, and a girl walks up and says, "Who is that?" And then Eric says, "His name is Marco. You know the Andalite bandits Chapman is always talking about? The ones who use Andalite morphing technology to carry on guerrilla war?" He's like, "This human is one of them." It's like they're revealed. They're completely out there, you know?
Exposed, naked, on their back in the dirt.
And then as we finally get to the story of the Chee, the underground android park, we do get a little inkling that Marco's mom actually warned his dad one time
So creepy.
to
yeah.
not work with the government in the middle of the night, right?
Yeah, just shoots Bolt up right in the middle of sleep time. Warns him, is able to grab a hold of control of her body
Yeah.
temporarily, just long enough to say that, and then probably right afterwards got reclaimed.
Yeah. Yeah. She's like, don't go to the government because they'll turn you into
Controller.
a controller. So, Max, tell me, as a kid, when you read this stuff about the Pemalites and the Chee and the androids and the howlers and everything, what was it like for you?
You know, to be honest, when I first started rereading this book for this, I kind of had forgotten the name of the Pemalites.
Yeah, me too.
I kept trying to call the howlers something else. I can't remember what, but it also started with an H.
Pemalites, Andalite. Is that a coincidence? They both end with light.
I don't know. Probably not. It
Probably
feels
not,
like
right?
they're given some kind of like designation to that suffix.
Distant relation, do you think? Do you think the two species are related? in some
No,
way?
it sounds like they were completely separate beings. The way he described it, the Pemalites were already traveling at faster than light speed, whilst the Andalites were first discovering fire.
They love to play.
So
They-
only in the respect that if you subscribe to the Big Bang Theory, everybody is technically related from being from the same original mass point, then yes.
Yeah, like at some point, everything was a dot. Here's a description of the Pemalites that Eric gives. They loved to play. They loved games and jokes and laughter. And they'd been a fully evolved race for so long that all the harsher instincts were gone. They had no evil in
awesome.
their hearts. They had no evil in their souls. So they didn't want to conquer anybody, the Pemalites.
I wonder how Axe felt about that, knowing that they were so advanced at that point.
Didn't they
That-
say something in the book about, like, you saw Axe, like react in some way?
Wince or grimace or
Yeah,
something.
because
If he
that
had had a
Andalite
mouth.
pride. That Andalite pride. Anytime they bring up that somebody is highly advanced or better than the Andalites, he always winces a little bit.
Makes me wonder if anybody's done any fanfic on the Pemalites and
Dude,
like
that
their
seems like
rise.
Yeah, that seems like that could be an extended series
A
book. I
whole
think.
series, yeah.
Don't you think?
Oh,
The
yeah.
the Pemalite Chronicles.
Each one. if not its own separate book that they should have done, which they didn't, bastards. But I'm just kidding. We forgive you. But no, yeah, it could be its own entire series. Just honestly, each one of those individual races could be their own entire series. You could go from Yerks to Hork-Bajir. Probably don't need to really visit the Taxon too much. They can have just like a singular book.
Tie him in with Yerk somehow, right?
Yeah.
Are they from the same planet, Taxons and Yerks?
I don't think so.
No.
No, the Ged were on
That's right.
the Yerk homeworld, but I think the Taxons were an eventual conquering, as we discover in, I think it's the Visser Chronicles, or maybe the Andalite Chronicles, one of the two.
Max, a little bit of Andalite trivia for you. What does the word Chee mean in Pemalite language.
Friend.
That's right. It means friend.
Do you remember the human name of the Chee that appears to be having an argument with Eric when they get down into the
I don't. When they get down to the basement area?
underground kennel, as Marco put it?
Oh, do you know that?
Yeah.
What is it?
Maria, Maria.
Okay.
It's just because when I saw the name, I sang it. So I was like, okay, Maria.
And the other really cool aspect of the Chee, which were created by Pemalites, they're super, super, super advanced androids, and they've been on Earth since, like, he said, I helped build the Great Pyramids, you know?
Yeah.
So that part
First
to me was cool.
He was there for Hamlet's original display.
Yeah, for the opening night.
Yeah.
But it was cool to me as a kid. I was like, that's like, I remember reading the story about Swiss Family Robinson, and that was like the family that just lived on and on and on and on. And it's like, what is that like? Like you go from being one person, and then you like fake your death, and now you're somebody else. And just the fact
the
that
Tucker
the Chee,
family from the what was that book about the spring?
I think that's what I'm thinking of. The Tucker one, Tuck Everlasting. That's what I'm thinking of, Max. Not Swiss Family Robinson.
That was
predecessor to Star Wars.
Wondering I had though about Maria. She described herself as a Chee, and then there was a hyphen, and then another word that followed, and I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be a capital I or a lowercase l. So it's either Chilono or Chiano.
Chee, I don't know.
Yeah,
Chee, I don't know.
I think I'm going to lean towards Chee. I don't know.
So then, of course, the plan is revealed, but just another quick note on the Chee. Obviously, they're dogs, right? Or like dogs are the
Well, they seem
what
to
is
be
it?
modeled somewhat after their creators. The
Yeah, so
Pemalites.
dogs already existed.
Wolves existed.
In the Chee, yes, wolves. That's right. And then the Chee came here with the Pemalite spirit, put it into the wolves, and then you have dogs.
Yeah, they still had
some dogs, right?
just a handful of surviving Pemalites when they arrived to Earth, and they somehow transferred the essence of their souls from those bodies into the canid forms that they came across, the wolves of the time. And from that spawned dogs. And since then, humans and dogs have formed a bond.
Yes.
Which we all know.
And I always thought that was cool, too, as a kid. All of that was just real heartwarming. You know that K.A. loved dogs. I mean, dogs are the best animal, you know, hands down.
This book jerked back and forth on your emotions a little bit.
I feel sorry for people who are allergic to dogs. Like, I'm allergic to cats. I like cats, but I can't like them because I'm allergic to them.
Right.
I feel bad for people who are allergic to dogs because dogs are awesome.
Right. I feel like I technically am slightly allergic to certain breeds of dog, like longer haired dogs. I think I tend to get a little, especially if I like stay the night at somebody's place that's got
Fur
one. I get a
everywhere.
little like stuffy and sniffly and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's not like unbearable, and it doesn't by any means keep me from getting around them.
I'll start wheezing. If there's a
I'll
cat in the room.
Away from a cat any day.
Cat, you say you do like cats or you don't?
No, I'll get away from a cat
Oh,
any
really?
day. I like cats all right, but honestly, they're such assholes so much of the time. I don't want to deal with it.
I think it's a personality.
If somebody's got a
thing.
cat, I'll be nice to it. I'll play with it. I'll try and make it more dog-like.
Yeah.
Chill it out. But then it starts like randomly attacking because it got upset about a mite chewing on its tail or something, and now it's clawing my arm off. No,
I have
no,
a
thank you.
scar. I have a scar on my hand for being bit by a cat, and they have those teeth that like rip into your skin. Ugh.
Needles.
Cats can be nasty, man. I mean, dogs can too, but
Just
I'm-
like they
I'm more of a
described
dog.
with Melissa's cat, the tomcat. Pound for pound, they're one of the most ferocious things that you can ever come across as a male tomcat
Yeah, you don't want to get
looking for prey or for mate.
you don't want to get tied up with one of those. So Eric went on with the plan for the Yeerks of this book. Kind of the final mission that we're building to is that the Yeerks are working on a master computer to infiltrate, and this is chapter 17, and rewrite all the software in all the computers on Earth. When they have achieved sufficient force among humans, they will launch this computer bomb and, in a flash, control all computers. So Y2K.
Yeah, it seems like they would already have that power and technology with the amount of space travel that they've accomplished, but then again, they were really only given like one part of the puzzle and have figured out the rest on their own at this point.
And I think the Yeerk's problem comes in numbers, not necessarily
True.
technology. I think that in comparison to the billions of people on Earth, how many Yeerks do you think there are? Like a couple of million? Because if not, I feel like they would already take over. How many Yeerks do you think on Earth?
Like actually on Earth at that point? Maybe in the millions, yeah. It seems like it, and especially after taking the hit from the Kendrona Tower and everything being ruptured.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's even less. They kind of lightly describe it, but they definitely took a numbers toll, both in just the people that were starved and the amount of people that like were trying to fight for the starving people that also got offed by an angry Visitor 3 or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, he's pretty reckless when it comes to just killing his own people. He's like,
right?
Oh, you sneezed without...
And the controller that they're in. So he's like double.
Yeah, his own people.
And you wonder why you're still just Visitor 3 with the only and a light body. The only superior, potentially superior, although you still try to act like they're inferior, race.
Right. Yeah.
That you've got out there that you're aware of.
So now the Animorphs have to go track down this crystal. And it's actually Pemalite technology, right? Because the same crystal that they're going for is going to allow the Yeerks to take over all the computers on Earth, but also it's a crystal created by the Pemalites, but also it's a crystal that can be put into Eric, which happens at the end,
Yeah,
right?
Eric's able to use it to rewrite his own programming.
Oh, okay, so it's not specifically for that. It's just like a powerful crystal.
Yeah, it's one of the many functions it can perform is take over all computers on Earth or rewrite the programming on a Chee so that they are able to commit violence, which it only takes them 10 seconds to regret the entire forever existence that he's going to have.
Yes, it's really heavy at the end, and that's what happens is the Animorphs morph into Batmorph to get this crystal. First of all, the whole
this battle scene though.
That's so memorable. But before that, the whole like part of them climbing in through the vents and like morphing into spiders and roaches and like trying to figure out where they were. The infiltration, that was pretty exciting.
Yeah,
you know?
with the furnace coming off right at the last possible moment for them to still survive but also get scorched.
And thankfully, the lasers in the room that they were in didn't start until 2 feet off the wall, so they had room to be humans before they morphed into bats.
Very conveniently.
Yeah, very convenient.
I wonder if that was also just partially a necessity because whoever else from the Yeerk Empire needed to get through there. Maintenance tech needs a space to walk through.
They come out, and this is the battle that they're in where they're just sitting ducks. There's like 24 Hork-Bajir, a bunch of human controllers with machine guns.
You would think with as important as this crystal was, being more valuable than a whole mothership, as they put it, they would have like maybe some station Draken beam turrets ready to go as soon as that alarm tripped instead of just the annoying alarm. You know, screech, 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 whoop-de-doo. I can listen to that all day.
I think it's more like scree, scree, scree.
Yeah,
that's how they
the capitalized E's.
The capitalized E's. So then they come out, and then this is where Marco describes like the dire straits that they're in. He says, "We were going to lose. We were going to die."
He was dead.
Yeah, yeah. He pretty much died like in Gorilla Morph. And as a kid, like you said, this battle scene was like, oh my god. Like of all the battle scenes they've had so far, this one like topped all of them because they just had no chance at all.
So I wonder if now in one of the following books we're going to get some like offhand description of how Axe's scar on his arm that was reattached has now disappeared since the last time he morphed.
I was thinking his arm came off and Eric sewed it back on, but why didn't Axe just morph out and then morph back in? Is that
he might do that later, and that's what I'm saying. Maybe we'll get a little offhand comment in one of the next books.
Yeah,
I don't know. I haven't read them yet.
Like, oh, your scar's gone or something like that. But Eric is the best guy to have on your side in battle because he took out the entire. Rachel says it lasted about 10 seconds. She said it was extremely brutal, and then Axe said very brutal and very swift. He carried us here. He revived you. He even reattached my arm. And yeah, that's where it says, I saw a scar on Axe's left arm. Ouch, painful, right?
Right.
And then Cassie says, he hasn't said anything since. He won't talk to any of us. So Eric is just like, Eric is the one who is fighting.
Inconsolable right now.
Yeah, inconsolable. And he's the one who was fighting among his people. I think Eric said it was him and like 5 friends who wanted to go and fight. And he's like, we can fight. We should fight. and then he does, and now he's
Never
haunted by
again,
this heavy induction of rage that he partook in, and that's where the lesson, I guess, comes in about rage. It's like, in this case, it saved him, and I think Eric comes back, because even at the end of this book, they have like a special bat phone set up, right? It's like Eric's like, if you need to talk to us, if you need to talk to me, call this number, and no one else can ever access it. And so Eric
Super
comes back
hotline,
now and then, but only to
They reference both Spider-Man and Batman in this as well.
Yeah, it seems like Marco's books are always rife with superhero references.
Definitely.
But yeah, I guess Eric comes back, but he's always haunted by this. But he saved them. He saved the Animorphs. He saved us from the Y2K-like computer takeover that was going to happen. And then after a while, Marco says, I knew where Eric was coming from. He says, I knew what he meant. See, win or lose, right or wrong, the memory of violence sits inside your head. It sits there like some lump you can't swallow. It sits there, a black hole that darkens hope and eats away at everyday happiness like a cancer. It's the shadow you take into your own heart and try to live with. Jeez, Beniz.
And like you said, it's much later in the series, but I love the antithesis that is created with Jake and Cassie for the Howlers on that.
I will have to look more into that. My brain is doing one of those things where it just shuts down, tries not to remember anything. Although book 26, before this last read, and I think that's the book that we're talking about. Before this last read of the series, that's the last book I reread.
Oh, okay.
And that was like probably 4 or 5 years ago before doing this.
That's why you were able to remember which one.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, man, how do you...
As a kid,
that one
too,
really
though.
impressed you.
And then the end scene here with the dogs, I love it, dude. It's such a wholesome tribute to dogs.
It's so weird because it seems like suddenly the dogs have some amount of intelligence and consciousness to them. They're semi-sentient suddenly. And they all approach simultaneously when he pulls out the Pemalite.
Kind of freeze and look.
Yeah, and then Homer comes up and just grabs it out of his... Doesn't chew it up, doesn't swallow it, just holds it in his mouth. And then they all together trot off into the surf and paddle out a little ways, and then they come back, and presumably he just let it fall off into the ocean.
Yeah.
And then now they come back and they shake off all over some old biddies that are looking for sand dollars, and go on about catching the frisbee again and playing and being dogs.
The life of a dog. I think the Pemalite spirit took them over, and somehow they knew we have to hide this and put it away. It's too powerful, and then they did. And now it's like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Which makes you wonder if the Pemalites, to some degree, are experiencing the life of a controller almost, in the sense that they are somehow still inside of these dog bodies and able to, at this point we see, somehow influence their actions.
In a much
however
less
briefly.
malicious way.
Yeah, because they were overall peaceful.
Yeah.
But in a similar way, they're still like sitting there having to wait until the right moment, and then they can finally act out through the body that they're in, that they're not normally controlling.
This is a good book, man, and I feel like I've said it for at least a few books so far, but that's how it's going to be. Is that this is definitely my favorite book so far. I think just because of the Chee, the android. Again, I love the first 3 books. I love Marco's book 5. When he finds out his mom's Visser 1 and everything. But these Marco books are always the best mix of tragedy and comedy. It's like a little bit deeper. And Marco books are always special to me. Marco is like the Michelangelo of Animorphs. He's just like the one who sticks out more than the others. He's orange.
Yeah.
A
little sus.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, look. You got morphed.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So what do we have in the book here that's...
So you got a couple of things.
Okay.
One, midway through on page 88, 89, you've got the promised holographic stickers, which include this...
That is so
book
dope.
cover with a blue background. So Marco morphing into the spider with the words "Never Surrender" in thought speech. And then you've got below it the sticker with the cover for the following book, book 11, on there.
Dude, those are really cool.
Within thought speech, the words, "You're out of time."
I
And
love
it's
how you...
Jake morphing into a...
What's on the
what
back
looks
of
like
it?
a
Nothing?
leopard. Yeah, nothing on the back. It's just the backing of a sticker. It's a peel-off holographic sticker that you could place.
You exercised self-control as a kid, not
not
taking
peeling that off and putting it. Because
really cool.
honestly, if I were going to have put it anywhere, it probably would have ended up on the lampshade that's still in my room.
Oh yeah.
I still have the same lampshade.
Do you think it would
All the
still be
holes and everything.
sticky? The sticker probably not. Huh? It's been 20 years.
I have a couple of stickers on there that have been there close to that amount of time. So yeah, as long as it got onto a part that had been dusted recently enough, it should be fine. Which I tended to do before I stuck anything on it.
See, I would worry about it tearing coming off of the out of the book. Yeah.
No, I was kind of like sitting here playing with it with my fingers, and I can already feel it wanting to just naturally come off.
And did you say that there was another morphing contest in the back of this?
No, it's it appears to finally be the reveal of one of those morphing contest winners.
Very nice.
It says, "You got morphed" at the top, and it's this kid that looks like he's probably about 7 or 8 years old. Probably like a young Jake, a freckled kid with short, kind of chilly, bullish hair. And he's getting morphed into a polar bear. And it says, "What animal would you most want to morph into and why?" Which was the question from that.
Yeah.
And it says, "A polar bear roaring through the Arctic," with an exclamation point. "I believe the polar bear represents pure strength." Eric A., age 12, winner number 2 of the Get Morph contest. So there's already been a single winner, a first winner that we haven't seen.
The back flap of Megamorphs.
I did not see that.
Which at
How
this
did I
point
miss
we would have
that?
already talked about because it was crazy podcast time travel. But yeah, it's in the back of Megamorphs, or at least it was in my edition. I don't know if it was different for different editions, but
I'll have to go and look because I feel like I just had the little like this, the join, the like order form for more was in the back of mine. I don't know. Maybe that page fell out or something. I don't know. There's a little preview again for chapter 11 for book number 11 coming in September.
Who is the next book? Who's the next narrator?
Jake.
Very nice.
So we've hit the end of the cycle again. Marco is always the end of the cycle. Jake's the beginning of the cycle.
I see. Okay.
For how they so it'll be again Jake, then Rachel. This time should be Tobias because we just had Axe in book 8. 14 will be Cassie, and then 15 will be Marco.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to 13 a lot. I like how the Animorphs books went from having like ads for other Scholastic books to just more. And you could tell they were successful now because it's like all Animorphs.
It's caught on. Man, they were still just $3.99 each.
Crazy
at that point. Order your books before it's too late.
So coming up next week, we're back to Jake for book 11. We are almost 1/5 through the series. So
wow.
So we're doing good. Yeah, if you think about
crazy to think about. Yeah,
because there's 54, and then all the extended series.
Yeah, I think there's like 9, 7, 9 somewhere in there.
We're getting there, man. We're going book by book, and together we fight. See ya.